Here's a story in markets. Bitcoin's bullish trajectory intact, Benjamin, but December jump to 100K looks unlikely. That, according to analysts, with the end of the year approaching, most investors will probably liquidate positions to present decent annual performances. That, according to one observer. Now, that applies to Bitcoin. I understand that that happens to stocks. Sometimes you see, sometimes you see a Santa rally. Other times you see maybe some, a bit of a sell-off as people get closer to tax time or whatever. I don't know. Is 100K doable by December? We're almost, well, we're in December. What am I talking about? Maybe end of December.
You know, I heard the best quote this week about financial advice, people who write these sorts of articles. Financial advice is horoscopes with math. These people have no idea. They have no idea. What we do know, one of the things that's happening in the market, like you asked me a few days ago, oh my God, Bitcoin went down, 1% or 2%. Why is it going down? And one of the things we know is happening tangentially on the side is the Mt.GOX settlement. So Mt.GOX back in 2013, 2014 was the only Bitcoin exchange. It was really the only place to buy Bitcoin if you weren't mining it yourself, right? There's three ways to get Bitcoin. You earn it, you buy it, or you mine it on your own, okay? So back then, this was the first exchange, and it got hacked, and people lost millions of dollars of Bitcoin. It's not Bitcoin got hacked, the exchange that was storing their Bitcoin got hacked. Anyways, the founder left, nobody could find him, and court proceedings ensued. Anyway, there was a settlement, and there's a lot of people that are about to get very rich who had a small amount of Bitcoin, back almost 10 years ago, who all of a sudden are going to be compensated a percentage. They'll be given of their 100 Bitcoin that they had, they're going to end up getting 20, 30, 40 Bitcoin as a payout sort of thing.
Nice.
So there are people who are thinking, oh, well, when these people all get Bitcoin, they're going to sell it, and then the market's going to, temporarily go down. Sell it for what? Like, okay, yeah, maybe a couple of kids who had some money, they're going to go buy a house, buy a McLaren or a Ferrari or something. Okay, fine. They're going to go buy their Lambo. But then what? They're going to keep it in Bitcoin because it's the pristine asset. Why would you sell it when you could borrow against it, when you can go to Goldman Sachs and say, hey, I have $30 million in Bitcoin. You want to loan me some cash? So that's where some of the speculation is going in terms of, well, why is it going down? It's, a price fluctuation of a few percent. And when I say a few percent in Bitcoin terms, 8 or 10%, that's not a really big price fluctuation. We're pretty much used to that in this market. And you do get used to it over time.
This story in the BBC, Benjamin, cryptocurrency executives to be questioned in Congress. Executives of 8 major cryptocurrency firms have been called to testify before a U.S. congressional committee. December the 8th, witnesses called to appear include Coinbase's Alicia Haas, Circle's Jeremy Allaire, Bitfury's Brian Brooks. I've never even heard of Bitfury. It will be the first time that companies representing these controversial sectors, the controversial sector, here you go, the controversial sector have been questioned in this way. U.S. politicians across the political spectrum have called for more scrutiny of cryptocurrencies. There you go. Now, this is going to make people a little more wary as they see this. Here they are being hauled before Congress, questioned this controversial sector.
Oh yeah, just like they did to Jack Dorsey and to Mark Zuckerberg, right? And you know what they'll do when the microphone's off? They're going to turn to them and say, "Hey, you got any tips? What should I buy?" That's what they're going to do. What's interesting about that is Armstrong, who's the CEO of Coinbase, 3 or 4 months ago, he had a private meeting with, you know whom?
No.
Jerome Powell.
Wow.
So there's
like to have been a fly on the wall on that one.
Exactly.
Maybe Powell was looking for work at that time because
that's right. So there's a lot of dialogue going on behind the scenes, and I don't know if this article's in The Economist, the same people who don't understand supply and demand, but I wouldn't really take this as anything that's legitimate. Okay, yeah, sure, they're going to talk because they're talking all the time. I wouldn't terribly worry about it.
Well, what do you think might come out of it? I mean,
a bunch of politicians are going to learn how to make a lot of money with Bitcoin. That's what I think is going to happen.
All right, but forget about 100K Bitcoin this month.
Well, what's interesting? Max Kaiser, who's a controversial figure, but he's hysterical. He's one of the wealthiest Bitcoiners. I think he holds 250,000 Bitcoin.
Wow,
how much he has. And Max Kaiser said, in many interviews, people are like, the politicians are gonna block it. The politicians, he's like, listen, and he's very animated. He says, you know what you're gonna learn about life? I own the politicians. I have 250,000 in Bitcoin. They'll do what I want because I will line up their office with as many lobbyists as I want, and I'll make sure they won't be able to move. And there is some truth to that that's how our system works. So when people think, oh, they're going to ban, when Pocahontas there, it's like, oh, we're going to ban it. No, Pocahontas, like Nancy Pelosi, is going to try her very darnest to turn it into an asset that makes them money. That's all they care about.
Well, do you think Elizabeth Warren owns Bitcoin secretly?
I don't know.
How many of these people in Congress and these big players actually own Bitcoin but are very quiet about it?
Her, I don't know, but I would almost guarantee, if I was going to speculate, that Nancy Pelosi owns Bitcoin, just because her husband is in the financial sector. He's magically. She just bought a house. Did you hear this? She bought a house on the water in Florida. Let's remember, global warming is going to wipe out all the coasts, right? But she bought a house on the water this week for $25 million. She's been in Congress since
ridiculously rich. But the Obamas bought one on Martha's Vineyard on the water
for $70 million. Where are these guys making all this money?
Wow, right? He must really be. They must have been clipping coupons in the White House. I mean, wow, they must have. They did a terrific job.
Yeah, exactly.
Stocking away their cash.
Yeah,
on a president's salary all those years.
That's right.